Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will call to order the Lafayette City Council meeting for November 3rd, 2025, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk Beck, can we do a roll call, please?
Mayor Monget,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wong,
Hello.
Councilor Barnes,
Good evening.
Councilor Friedland,
Hello.
Councilor Gallegos,
Good evening.
Councilor Sampson,
Good evening.
and Councilor Tapia Vega.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. And because Councilor Sampson is participating online, we'll be conducting roll call votes for this evening. All right, so we will begin tonight's agenda with public input. If you wish to speak during this time, please fill out one of these white speaker forms that you can access through the glass doors in the back, and then pass it over to our city clerk to get you on the list. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. Please state your name and address before you do so, and you may also call in as well. Tonight, we will begin with Ron Spalding.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Ron Spalding, 1326 Eldorado Way, Lafayette, Colorado. Tonight, I would like to speak to Debbie Wilmot. I've known Debbie since I first moved here in 2011, 14 years ago. To me, it seems like ages ago. She has been a very approachable and professional in all my dealings with her. Debbie has always been very helpful in providing me direction to any questions I may have had. She's extremely responsive in her follow-up. Debbie has been objective, rational, unbiased, and listens without judging. She's non-judgmental, and with me, that's a tough job. She is a true professional and has been a great asset for the city. She will be missed. I want to thank her for her 19 and a half years of service to the city and residents of Lafayette, and it's been a pleasure working with her all these years. So I'm going to miss her, and so many of us will too. And then I have another little item I wanted to bring up. At the previous council meeting, I got to the meeting very late and missed the public input opportunity. But if I was here, I would have voiced my surprise at the ballot issue 2C, capital projects, being on this agenda item. I personally don't think the council should have a resolution supporting or endorsing a ballot issue. My opinion, the council should maintain a neutral position in matters of this financial magnitude. It gives the appearance of undue influence in swaying voters for the ballot measure. Even if it is allowed by the Fair Campaign Practices Act, it just doesn't look or feel good. And I see Councilman Person Sampson on the video and Councilman Friedland here, and I just want to compliment you on taking the opposing vote to the resolution. To me, it took a lot of courage to do that. So just want to thank you. In my humble opinion, we'll know what the voters think in a couple days. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you so much. I do not have any other speaker forms in front of me, but I do see that there's a couple folks here that would like to speak. So if you wouldn't mind just passing me those forms, I could get you called up. Oh, and give him a second. No, okay, well, I think he's leaving. All right, well, Stephanie, if you're ready. Yeah, sure, I'll take you up. Okay, next up we have Stephanie Walton.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Walton, a resident of Lafayette. Thank you. I wasn't planning on speaking today, and then on the way here, there are a couple of things I just wanted to quickly comment on. First of all, Debbie, thank you so much for your service. I always appreciated collaborating with you and stopping by your office just to say hi for the 8 years that I was on council. I always appreciated your smile, your friendly attitude, and your willingness to help us out and get the message out. While I served on council, I served with people who were very invested in community outreach, transparency, and community engagement. And I think that you helped bring that along a lot. It's not an easy task to do. Transparency and engagement requires commitment from council, commitment from the city staff, and also commitment from the residents of the community that they're serving. And it's not an easy thing to bring together. And but I think that I saw improvements in a lot of areas over the years that I served. So thank you very much for your service. I also wanted to encourage council to reopen the applications for planning commission. I understand there are positions open and not a lot of applications, and based on what you've received, I'd like to encourage that you take a look at opening that up, and because that's a very important group, and definitely interested in making sure that that is full board. I also wanted to comment, I actually disagree with Mr. Spalding about the resolution. When you have a ballot initiative, for very important reasons, the city council and staff in their roles cannot campaign for that ballot initiative. But after a lot of thoughtful deliberation and conversation, it's obvious where you all stand based on the vote that you made to refer that ballot to the or refer that initiative to the ballot. And so I think that it's okay because it is allowed for you to have that resolution, be considered. And so I think it's a better look if there is consensus for something like that. So I would have rather have seen that resolution had a unanimous vote. The lasting headline, or as people are considering their vote, that is a confusing thing. You understand the ins and outs and all the differences, but the difference between a referral to the ballot and a resolution, that's really kind of, way into the details of the work of a council. And so the headline, I'm not sure that it has a positive headline for what you're intending to really support capital projects that this, 3 of several capital projects that the city needs in order to continue the superior and excellent service that the city provides its residents. So I just wanted to share my thought on that as well. Thank you all for your service. Those of you who are leaving the council, thank you very much. Those of you who have put your name on the ballot, thank you for stepping up and being interested in serving the city of Lafayette. If you happen to not be elected, I definitely encourage all of you to consider staying involved somehow in the civic service in the community. There are a lot of ways to participate and get involved, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody who's interested in any of those kinds of positions on a city board or commission or otherwise. Trust in the city council is a very fragile thing, and it takes a lot of trust and integrity to serve. So thank you all very much for your service.
Of course. Thank you for your service as well. Appreciate it. Okay, next up, we have Greg Holston.
Hi. It's a pretty exciting place.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a little nervous.
No worries. If you wouldn't mind just stating your name and address, and then you can get started.
Yeah, Greg Holston, 550 South Carr Avenue, apartment 1B, Lafayette, Colorado. experienced something at where I'm living, and it's Boulder County housing where I live. That's pretty nice. And I'm grateful in Lafayette, grateful for all the hard work you guys do in the police department and the nice people here. And Friday evening, my girlfriend, we were watching the World Series. And someone, I guess it's called door busting, if you're familiar with this. It's on TikTok. And it's young people who, they have their friends videotape them, rush a door, and hit it real hard. And it's pretty much for seniors and disabled folks. And this person that does this, I seen him. And he's a young man. And my girlfriend told me, my girlfriend brought her in, that she said there's a thing on TikTok where they videotape it and then put it on TikTok. And it's hard for an older person, and we're pretty much older folks. But I've had this young individual throw a rock at my door, and I hear the noise and get out. But Saturday night was like, we were terrified in our apartment. And we called the police, Officer Martinez. But I just found that we are in unusual times. But I was feeling kind of, we were scared. You know, we're in our 70s. And I called the police, Officer Martinez, and she said that, well, did you see his face? And I said, well, I know who this guy is. It's happened 6 times. And he runs off. He throws rocks. I've seen him throwing rocks at my neighbors. And I've talked to the police and said, this guy's a call for help. But then we found out this is a thing on TikTok. And I don't know what you guys can do. The police seem to need me to get him on the phone, but it happens like this. You know, I don't have time to do it. To say, oh, you know. And this is new stuff for me, cell phones, or have a witness. So my girlfriend witnessed it. And Officer Hafner, he caught the kid one time, and he was, I don't know, he just said, I cannot charge him because he's too young. Said it might have said it differently. But it happens a lot. And I have a therapist I get to talk to and tell him about it, but the police seem to be, I need to go to court and I need to prove this, and I can't take it to court until I prove it. You know, you gotta, I said, I'm doing the best I can. So Officer Hafner caught the guy, went to the parents, said, hey, I don't know what he really said. And I said, well, that's good enough. I think maybe they'll talk to him, you know. But it didn't get through to him. I don't know where to come. It was so startling. I never grew up like this. You know, there were pranks during Halloween, but this wasn't Halloween, day after. But he caught the kid, and then I say, well, Officer Hafer, I'll call another officer. I said, can you correlate with Officer Hafner, because he knows where this kid lives. 6 times, rocks, door busting. It's a thing on TikTok. I don't know if any of you have heard this, but I'm an elder. I'm a good citizen, and I'm grateful to be here. But if there's anything you can do, I sure would appreciate it. You know, and I know you're busy and everything, but he's scaring us, terrorizing us. And when I heard it was a TikTok thing, if you guys know about this stuff, your children, ask your children about it, or Google it or whatever, but it's a thing.
Yes. Well, Mr. Holston, we appreciate you letting us know. You are at your 5 minutes, so if you have any last comments that you want to wrap up with, please do so now, and then, I'm sure someone from city staff or a city councilor will follow up with you.
So I'm still under 5?
You've already reached your
Oh.
time limit, yeah.
God bless everyone that's here, and I hope that our children, it's the parents that are, it's not the kids. They're just, the parents are the problem.
Yes.
God bless you
Of
all.
course. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay. All right. So I'm not seeing any more speaker forms in front of me. Are there any more members of the public in person that wish to speak at this time? All right. Double check online. I do see one phone call. And if you do not wish to speak during this time, caller, please just let us know and we can move on the agenda, but I want to give you the opportunity. So phone number ending in 757. Talking is now permitted, so if you do wish to speak during this time, you may.
Hello,
Yes, we can hear you.
my name's Christopher. I live on Sioux Street. I want to give support to the man last meeting who spoke up about the airplanes being too noisy. They're very noisy. I also want to give support to a memorandum on not building anything else in this town for a while. Just not build. I've heard backup beeping far too long, and I just would like to some peace. For that guy that just talked, though, oh, I'm sorry. I'll leave it at that. That was anyway. Have a great night.
Thank you for your call, Christopher. All right. So I'm not seeing any more speakers in person. I'm also not seeing any more callers online. So with that, I will close public input. And we will move forward with the consent agenda. We have several items, including item A, October 28, 2025, City Council meeting minutes. Item B, second reading of ordinance number 22, series 2025, amending chapter 86, collective bargaining for firefighters, and chapter 87, collective bargaining for police officers, to allow to collective bargaining agreements with terms of less than 3 years. Item C, contract with Win Marion, electric vehicle charging station installation. And item D, contract with Philac baseline water treatment plant rehabilitation. Are there any items that council would like to pull? Okay, would someone like to make a motion, please?
I'm going to move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and second, any further discussion? Okay, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Tapia Vega,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wong,
Yes.
Counselor Barnes,
Yes.
Counselor Friedland,
Yes.
Counselor Gallegos,
Yes.
Mayor Monget,
Yes.
and Counselor Sampson.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Right. Okay, on to proclamations tonight. We have one tonight. This is item E. This is recognizing the service of Communications Director Debbie Wilmot. Mayor Pro Tem.
Whereas Communications Director Debbie Wilmot began her career with the City of Lafayette in April 2006 as a marketing and community liaison for the Bob L. Berger Recreation Center, and whereas after years of supporting Recreation Center patrons, Debbie expanded the scope of her communications work to serve as the city's public information officer and ultimately communications director. And whereas during her tenure as communications director, Debbie supported city communications as a one-person department for 9 years, and then was able to grow her team to include a communications manager and bilingual communications coordinator to improve reach and language access for all Lafayette residents. And whereas Debbie championed the professionalization of the communications department and worked to promote engagement with all residents through a variety of tools and initiatives, such as leading the development of a new city logo, successfully securing over $1 million in grant funding, building a monthly community newsletter, launching and developing the city's social media presence, and redesigning and maintaining the City of Lafayette website. And whereas Public Information Officer Debbie worked to provide clear and accurate information to residents during times of fear and uncertainty for our community, such as the Boulder County floods of 2013, a sinkhole in Old Town, a chemical spill at the Bob L. Berger Recreation Center, the COVID epidemic, a cyber attack, and the Marshall Fire. And whereas Debbie supported communications and engagement efforts on important community conversations, including discussions about the Great Outdoors Water Park development, a comprehensive plan update, resident engagement surveys, a brand assessment, the capital bond exploration, and utility rate increases. And whereas Debbie has left a mark on the community and organization, encouraging us all to remember to inform, engage, and inspire in all that we do. Now, therefore, the mayor and city council of the city of Lafayette, Colorado, do hereby commend and honor communications director Debbie Wilmot for her service to the city of Lafayette and wish her the very best and many productive beehives in the future. So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or discussion on this proclamation? Mayor Pro Tem Wong?
I just want to thank Debbie for all that you've done for this community, and it has been so great to see your one-person team grow, and a lot of the communication apparatus that we have in the city is due to your leadership. So thank you so much. I appreciate all the time and commitment that you've given to our community. So thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Mayor.
Other comments from councilors? Councilor Barnes?
I was just going to say thank you, Debbie, because the way our messages, the way that what we do gets communicated to the public is imperative. And your professionalism in so many of the important moments in the time I've been on council has put me at ease many, many times. Like, how in the world are we going to explain this? And then you managed to come up with the words and the way to make the message not only comprehensive, but clear. And it makes our work, or made our work, so much easier. So thank you so much for being the team member that we really needed. So thank you. We'll miss you.
Councilor Tapia Vega?
Yes, I want to echo a lot of things that were already said. So for me, community engagement, communications, it's so incredibly important. It's not just about the work we do up here, but being able to communicate that effectively to our residents and to our community. And you've done such an incredible job of doing this. I'm going to give a short story that will kind of tell you just how important your work was. So back in the Marshall Fire, and the proclamation talked about your incredible work during the Marshall Fire, I actually, of course, I lived in the city of Lafayette, but I wasn't presently in the city of Lafayette when that took place. I was sitting in Oklahoma and just watching the news, not knowing what was coming next, and had not been for your amazing work and your just really quick communication, I wouldn't have known what was happening next to the place that I live. So just thank you for all your work, 19 and a half years. That's amazing that you put so much work into the city. Just thank you for everything you've done.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Other comments from councilors? Okay. Oh, I have something to say. To Director Wilmot, we sincerely appreciate everything that you've done for the city. I've already spoken to you prior to this and to let you know my true appreciation for everything that you've done. As you know, Director Wilmot was one of the very first people that I ever met here at the city of Lafayette. My cousin, who's here in the back as well. We in 2021 2017, we walked into City Hall not knowing how to run for office or any understanding of like how to apply to be a candidate for city council. We were very green, and Director Wilmot, Susan Barker, Susan Coster were there to support us and to guide us and to help us understand the process, but learn. And that's all about, communications. It's like letting the public know when they're unaware. They're in a place of like sort of ignorance in a way, right? That's when the communications director comes in and lets people know very clearly and directly, hey, here are the steps. Here's how you can get involved in the community. Here are things you need to know about. Here are the steps you need to follow. And so you are one of the few directors that have been around for quite some time. And I just want to say that I sincerely appreciate your ability to navigate difficult situations. As a city, we're constantly running into conflict here and there, but at the end of the day, it's the communications, it's that directness. But beyond all that, to me, it's more genuine than that. It's not just about you're good at your job. It's that you're a good person, and that you are willing to sit there and guide someone young like me, ignorant to a lot of the process, especially at that age. But teaching, sharing, and giving good advice and feedback on how to approach situations, whether that's running for council or whether that's things popping up in the news or the city council makes the decision how to respond. But it beyond all that, it's more so about just being there as a resource, as a friend, as someone to genuinely support and help others. And so I really appreciate all the effort and energy that you put into the city. And before we do vote, I'd be happy to invite you to come up if you'd like. I would also like to present you with this kind of a commemorative engraving to acknowledge all your hard work and service. And so after you speak, after we vote, we'd love to do a photo with you in this as well.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council, and everyone that's put this together. I first learned about the passion that the residents of Lafayette have when I started working at the rec center. That knowledge of the constituencies expanded as I moved into the city. But people that live here love this town. And working here, you can't help but love it too. So I'm going to miss Lafayette. It's definitely been my home away from home, and I'm definitely going to miss that. I'm also going to miss the wonderful people that I work with. These are a bunch of dedicated people that really care about the community, and they care about their job. And while I'm excited about the new project that I'm working on, I'm going to miss them, and this was a hard decision. As I look back, I announced my departure, and I started getting lots of messages from people, visits from people, emails from residents, people that I work with, past coworkers, and I was blown away, just like the stories that you guys shared today. Blown away by the impact, that I've been able to make on folks, the things that people have seen, and it's just been humbling and very amazing to hear these stories, and just very humbled by all of this. As I move on, I've sat here and watched hundreds of city council meetings, hundreds, and never in a million years did I ever think that I would be up here being recognized for just doing my job. But here I am, and I'm always behind the scenes. I'm always behind the camera, so this is not a real comfortable place for me to be. But I thank you for all that. And, they say people will forget what you said, people will forget what you do, but they'll always remember how you make them feel. So as I go back and take inventory of my accomplishments and the things that I've done, it's these stories that people are sharing with me and how I've shown up for them. That is what I'm most proud of. So thank you. This has been an amazing place. I will always have a soft spot in my heart for Lafayette, and I will continue to watch you and all the great things that you guys do. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here and tell Lafayette's story.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for telling that story. Okay, so we do have a motion and a second on that proclamation. We'll do a roll call vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Wong,
Yes.
Counselor Barnes,
Yes.
Counselor Friedland,
Yes.
Counselor Gallegos,
Yes.
Mayor Monget,
Yes.
Counselor Sampson,
Yes.
and Counselor Tapia Vega.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Well, we'd love to present you with this as well as take a photo with you, if that's all right. And then, do you mind? Thank you.
I have like the oldest iPhone still available to operate, so
There are new ones.
I just don't have it. Thank you, Debbie. Okay, thanks, everybody. Right.
All right. Well, that does wrap up proclamations for this evening. And so we will continue on with presentations for tonight, beginning with item F. This is the recommended 2026 Mental Health and Human Services Grant allocations. We have Assistant to our City Manager, Alex Nelson, here to get us started.
Thank you and good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm very excited to be presenting to you all the 2026 Mental Health and Human Services Grant Program recommendations developed by the Mental Health and Human Services Grant Program Advisory Committee. I'll begin by walking through the background of the grant program, touch a bit on the application review process, walk through the recommendations themselves, and then turn it over to council for any questions. You'll notice there's no action required from you this evening. This is just an informational presentation to show you the recommendations, and then the recommendations, including any adjustments perhaps made tonight by council, will be put on consent agenda at your next meeting through a resolution. So by way of background, and as a reminder, this grant program is supported by a 0.1% sales and use tax that was approved by Lafayette voters in 2021, and this is our third year of grant making. The ballot language that created the tax and the program stipulates that eligible organizations for this funding are nonprofits that serve Lafayette residents, specifically with mental health and human services, which includes direct services like mental health and medical care, as well as other human services such as rent assistance, utility assistance, food assistance, child care, and support for survivors of domestic violence. And as a reminder, the city does participate in what we call the Funders Collaborative. So this is a partnership with the City of Boulder, the City of Longmont, and Boulder County to utilize a shared application so that organizations requesting funds can just submit one application to the multiple funding agencies for similar programs. In terms of context for this application cycle, we had 46 eligible applications, which is almost exactly where we've been the last 2 years. So starting to see some trends now that we're in the third year of the program. So that's kind of where we're sitting. There's $700,000 available in the budget for 2026 through the Health and Human Services Fund for these grants. And we are looking at just about $1.3 million in requests. And so for some additional context, in our first year, we were just over $1 million of requests. Last year, we were at 1.6 million, and this year we're sitting square in the middle at about 1.3. The application review process begins really when the application opens for organizations. So that's at the end of June, and that's open through the end of August. During that time, staff from all the individual agencies are able to answer questions for the organizations and help them navigate the tool itself. And then we do a quick eligibility screening. So that's looking at the applications that were submitted, ensuring that it complies with the requirements in the ballot tax ballot language. And then from there, the eligible applications are dispersed to all the program, the committee members for review. So that happens about the first week of September. And so during that process, the committee met about 4 times over 6 weeks to go through all the applications and determine the recommendations for you all this evening. In terms of some funding themes and highlights, there was an emphasis on continuing to support what are being considered, as I mentioned trends, and we're seeing the year, now that we're in 3 years of data, what are being considered some of the key services supported through this program, such as services provided through Clinica, Family Health and Wellness, Sister Carmen's Community Center, and their Family Resource Center, Community Food Share, and SPAN. There was also an opportunity in the committee this year looked at supporting some organizations that were funded in the first year but not in the second year, and so you'll see that those, for example, through the Immigrant Legal Center and the St. Benedict Health and Healing Ministry. And some of the key priorities that the committee looked at this year were really, of course, emphasizing organizations and programs specifically that served Lafayette residents and had a high proportion of Lafayette residents being served as part of their services. They were prioritizing organizations and programs that operated using sustainable service models and really not using this grant program as a to kind of fund their annual operations solely, but as an opportunity to expand services to Lafayette residents. They prioritized organizations that are working with community partners to deliver these services more directly and work kind of holistically and hand in hand with other agencies that are providing separate but related services. For those services that have kind of a tailored audience or trying to reach a specific population, they looked at those outreach plans and making sure that the services are informed by lived experience, as well as that the organizations have plans to reach those populations and making sure that the services can reach the intended populations. And then finally, as you'll see in a moment, the committee really does focus on providing a holistic service model and making sure that wherever possible, the duplication of services is minimized. So here I have a chart that shows kind of the funding by program service area, and these are the service areas called out in the ballot language. And so beginning kind of top right and working your way around, we have about $96,000 for food assistance. That includes Community Food Share, Coal Creek Meals on Wheels, $175,000 for medical care. The large portion of that is the Clinica, Family Health and Wellness, medical services for uninsured Lafayette residents, but some smaller programs such as the St. Benedict Health and Healing Ministry and their mobile free clinics. $127,000 for mental health services. That comprises the other part of what is now the larger Clinica umbrella, formerly known as Mental Health Partners, but their behavioral health homes and services there, as well as some smaller programs like Rise Against Suicide and their youth mental health services. There's $15,000 for child care assistance, $35,000 for services that support victims of domestic violence. There's this support services category, which is kind of a bucket of a number of smaller grants focusing on providing some services that are not specifically called out in the ballot language, but are related to, so such as legal services, education programs, things like that. And then there's finally this large category labeled multiple because it's the large portion of that is the Sister Carmen Family Resource Center that provides a number of the services that are intended to be supported by this program, including food assistance, rent and utility assistance, and navigation services. So the way I broke up the slides for this evening is I'll just kind of highlight some of the organizations that have received previous funding and for the same program. So hopefully are familiar to you all, but you'll notice I mentioned the Clinica programs, so both their medical and behavioral health programs, Coal Creek Meals on Wheels for their meal delivery. We have Home Ahead, they're a furniture bank for people living in affordable housing. Impact on Education, that is to support the Wellness Center at Centaurus High School to provide direct mental health services and support for Centaurus High School students. Rise Against Suicide, I mentioned, that's the youth mental health services and counseling services to prevent suicide. Sister Carmen, we have SPAN, Thorn Nature Experience, that's their Nature Kids program, and True Community Care is the hospice care for people who do not have insurance. There are a couple new, either new organizations or new programs from existing organizations that have been supported in the past that I do just want to touch on in a little bit more detail. So All Roads, this is the Boulder Shelter for the Homeless, formerly known as. And so this funding would be used to support their shelter in Boulder. Next is the Boulder Valley Health Center. This is to support navigation services for people utilizing services at the Boulder Valley Health Center based on social determinants of health and conducting assessments with those people, as well as connecting them to other resources that they may need. Center for People with Disabilities, this is to support independent living trainings and peer mentorship programs for people who have disabilities. There's Cultivate, so this program, this is the first time it's been funded or recommended for funding through this grant program, but it is an organization that was historically supported through One Lafayette. So this is an award to support services for older adults, specifically home modifications. The Early Childhood Council of Boulder County, this would be to support scholarships for direct access to childcare services. And then El Centro Amistad, this would be mental health and behavioral health services specifically for the Latino community. So before I turn it over to council for any questions, I do just want to take a moment to publicly thank the 7 members of the advisory committee. This committee is unique in that it doesn't meet monthly throughout the year, but all of their work is crammed into 6 weeks. And they spend a lot of hours, a lot of time on their own time, probably, I would guess, 30 plus hours reviewing these applications and meeting to scrutinize them, deliberate, and get answers to questions to make really thoughtful recommendations for you all. So I do just want to thank them all for their work. They're always a pleasure to work with and really take this very seriously and doing what's best for Lafayette residents. So with that, I will turn it over to council to see if there are any questions.
Yes, well, I think we echo that. Thank you to all the members that served on that committee. Thank you to city staff for taking the time to put all this together. Questions from council? Councilor Sampson.
Yes, I have a question. Last year, I noticed there was an organization called Queer Asterisk, and they had received funding, but I noticed in the mid-year report, they had not turned in a mid-year report. Do they still have funding from last year?
So there was a delay in getting the funding to them for the 2025 grant cycle. That was due to getting some clarification on certificates of insurance. And so they've received the first portion of their funding, and pending the submittal of a mid-year report, they would receive the second tranche of that funding. So that's about $11,000 still outstanding from this year's grant.
Okay, so out of the 22,500, they have about 11,000 still remaining. And then the 2026 recommendation is to give them another 15,000?
Yes, that's correct, because the funds would expire at the end of the calendar year for 2025. So the grant that was recommended for funding in 26 would be considered, a new grant. However, having said that, there are requirements and provisions in our funding agreement that state they would not be eligible for those funds do they not meet reporting requirements for the entirety of this year. So that processing and providing those funds would be contingent upon them meeting the requirements for the funds that are still outstanding.
Okay, just to clarify, what you're saying is they still have to turn in their mid-year report, and if they don't, they would not be eligible for next year's funds.
That's correct.
And so if they don't turn in next year's, or if they don't turn in the reporting, is there a plan, a contingency plan for moving that 15,000 to other organizations?
There is not yet. We haven't run into this situation yet, but that's not to say there could not be.
Okay, all right. I'll let you kind of figure that out before next time. Thank you.
All right, other questions from council? Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. I did have a conversation with one of the applying organizations that didn't receive funds last year or this year. And I do understand through the presentation and through the description of how we do this that their score's high but not high enough. And if they were to collaborate with one of the other organizations that are not scoring high enough, it would maybe broaden their impact. And it looks like we could the demand was almost twice as much as what was available. So that kind of looks like someone who's funded now might get moved down or moved out of the potential pot of money if someone or a organization moved up. But if we move, if I'm getting this correct, so say a single organization might not qualify for funding, but if one of the agencies who hasn't received funding teams with a third or, there's maybe three of them, they could potentially move into the funding. Is that something that?
That is possible. I will say the committee is they're very committed to reviewing what's in the application and making these recommendations based on the quality of the application. And so I can't say that just by, joining forces, it would automatically move up the scoring of that application, but it's certainly possible, especially as the committee does prioritize working with and partnering with other organizations in the community.
Thank you.
All right, other questions? Councilor Tapia Vega?
Just one question for me. Before that, I just want to thank absolutely anyone who had anything to do with this. I love this so much. This is such an amazing thing we do as a city. You said something that was really interesting to me, which is minimizing duplication. I've talked to a lot of the organizations that are on this list. Through just my work, I talk to organizations every single day. And I've talked to them about this specifically, and this was something that came up. I love the fact that our advisory committee goes out of their way to do this, because the tax really, it's mental health and human services, so it's so broad on that end. There could be so many different things that get funded. I love the fact that we actually do this. This is amazing. So that out of the way, thank you for everything you do. I'll ask my actual question. So the request, what I assumed when this started is that the request would not just increase in the amount of requests, also the amount of money, and that did happen from year 1 to year 2. And year 3, the requests were kind of similar, but the amount actually went down. Do we have any sort of, how much engagement is done with the people who are applying, and why do you think that was?
Yeah, I think it was more of an outlier last year. There was one request that was just significantly larger than all the others, and it does make up about the difference that we're seeing between the 2 years, so that would be my guess. There were, of course, incremental increases in terms of requests for, as costs increase year to year, but there was really one outlier between the 2 years that makes up the majority of that difference.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Other questions from council? Okay. I'm not seeing any more questions. And I think that's no motions needed for this one. So really appreciate all the work you all put in. And I'm glad to see we're continuing to support our local organizations. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up on presentations, this is item G, the 701 Pocket Park project update.
All right, good evening, council. Thanks for letting me come here tonight and give you all the update on the 701 Pocket Park. Just a review of an agenda here. We're going to go over the project, and we're going to show you all what the preferred concept plan has come about from all of the community engagement we have done and the feedback that we have received. I'll go over the goals again. We'll also be joined by the designer, Craig Stoffel from Ayers Associates. He'll be up here in just a minute. So these guiding principles and goals we've used since this was first kicked off, and Bridget and I talked about it back in earlier this year. All of these are derived from many city plans, our comprehensive plan, PROS plan, climate action plan, and the downtown vision plan. And also just a project schedule, looking at like where we've been, where we are today. We are still in the design phase. And yeah, looking forward to showing you this. I'll come back to this slide later. And we'll also be meeting with y'all early second quarter of next year for hopefully getting an approval for a construction contract. So with that, Craig Stoffel from Ayers Associates.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm excited to be back. We have been working hard on the design for the park, and here to present the kind of preferred concept. So very excited. A little bit about Ayers. Just to recap again, we have offices throughout the country. Our office is in Fort Collins here in Colorado. I've been with the firm for over 5 years, but I've worked with them on a lot of projects for many years as an outside firm. let's see, so we've been in business a long time, and we have a lot of services, and we really like to focus on small communities. That's like our main focus for clients that we really try to work with. We've worked with communities all over the state, working a lot. Our focus is really on creating these vibrant main streets. And so when we saw the park come out, we got really excited at the potential to help. We had just wrapped up one in San Luis and Steamboat. So excited to be here. And again, I'll just say that I was born and raised here in Louisville and went to Centaurus in '98, so not to date myself, but so this project is really meaningful for me, myself. I'm really just really excited to be a part of it. And so just wanted to hit on kind of how we got here, how we've arrived. So the city did a great two online surveys for multiple months before they brought AIRS on as the consultant for the design. So we really got off on a great footing, having so much public input already collected. And once we started to generate some of those designs based on that feedback, we went to Alicia Sanchez Elementary School for their back to school night, and had a lot of great conversations with the student body there, the parents and families. And then Dennis took the plans to the Youth Advisory Board and got a lot of great input from that group too. And then we shared a tenant art night out, so that was fun. I got to meet several of you and hang out, and you know, the amount of input that we got that night was just fantastic. We love to have those events. You know, meeting people at where they are is just really the best way, in our opinion, to really get that the real kind of local community input. And then we showed up at the farmers market the following that Sunday, brought the same concepts, and just had a lot of great conversations. You know, the people were really excited. They appreciated the opportunity, the feedback. They thought it was really like a genuine outreach. They really appreciated just having the opportunity to provide input. And then after that, we posted the drawings on Lafayette Listens for several weeks and got hundreds, I think almost 300 responses. And what's great is, I mean, they were all really positive feedback that we got. Everyone's really excited for something to happen down on that important block on South Public Road. And then we took the plans out to city staff, so all the different departments, the police department, and got some great insight into some of what they're concerned about as well. And so through all that, we've had several design iterations with Dennis and Bridget, and had some back and forth, a lot of great conversations. And then where we've kind of landed with this preferred concept is, you know, we took it through the lens of all the steps that got us here, with layered in of sustainability goals. The Main Street context is really important to the space. The scale, you know, it's only 7,000 square feet. It's about 65 by 130. So there's a balance there that needs to happen where we can't fit everything, and the space has to be really kind of strategically used for it to be successful. And then, of course, budget has to be on budget. And then ultimately the maintenance and operations, we really need it to be maintainable for the life of the park. We don't want something to fall into disrepair because we over-designed or anything like that. So as we develop those concepts, we're into the preferred concept is what we're calling it. With Dennis's slide, we are still in design. So we're basically moving away from markers and colored pencils and getting into construction documents. And so we're really developing the design. We're looking at some opportunities for cost savings and things of that nature. So we're tweaking the design now is basically probably the best way to say it. But we're really excited to wrap up the construction documents and get this out to bid in the springtime. So we're moving fast, but we had a great head start, and we've had a great team dynamic, and we're just really excited with how this has come to be. So here we're looking at the preferred concept. North is up, South Public Road is on the east side, Kimbark, and then the alley. So again, with limited space, we tried to kind of delicately decide what goes where and how much goes in. A lot of the feedback that we got was that shady oasis, connection to nature. You know, we have the Festival Plaza just right up the street. And so this is going to just serve a different purpose for the community. So we don't want to replicate what you guys already have, what we have in our community. through the youth advisory, the top play area was something they recommended, and we got a lot of positive feedback throughout the input phase on that. So we're showing that kind of tucked away in the corner by the alley, and we'll have a fence enclosure for safety, some shade and seating for parents to watch, wood climbers, like a peach concept climber, and just so small playground. It's really just for the young kids to climb around and just spend a little bit of time there and play. Variety of seating, so for that all ages, we really wanted to have seating that was comfortable for the elderly, and also some variety that might be kind of unique, where it's kind of almost forcing interaction with the community, where benches are pointed towards each other. So really trying to focus in on those connections with the community. Natural materials, boulders. There is some grade on that site. If you probably all know, it sits in a little bit of a hole. We had some back and forth and decided to use that to our advantage and not just bring it all the way up to be flush with the sidewalk all around. So everything will be ADA accessible, but it'll be by leaving it a little bit sunken, like a foot and a half, it provides some opportunities. With that boulder, it could be a terrace seating wall that we kind of imagine. Limited concrete paving, so again, trying to react to that connection to nature. We didn't want to just pave the entire site and kind of call it a day. So we are showing some concrete for snow maintenance removal and things like that to make sure that they can be operated. But really trying to minimize that and inject as many planting and trees. We have about a dozen trees on this design as it stands. An additional shade shelter, and then pollinator plants. With those, we'll try to keep them away from the playground area just for safety, but we do think there's opportunity for some of that water-wise xeric pollinator plants to happen within the space. I just made a special trip over to the demonstration garden on 112th and just love to see that even in the fall where everything's starting to turn. So, we have a lot of great inspiration for planting, so we haven't generated a plant list yet, but that's something that'll be developed. And then another fun kind of unique feature would be a custom seating deck. So it's multi-tiered, and that really, the intent there is to create that kind of community hub that we received a lot of feedback on, that's something they thought was important here. And so we envision this as like a informal gathering. It could just be for teenagers. It could be for local nonprofits that want to have an informal meeting. So it's got that two-tiered, generous space. I mean, we even talked about maybe a small music performance, not speakers, but just something that could host a small, very small gathering. It's about 20 by 10 feet, so it's not crazy large, but I think it'll provide a great destination and a unique space for the park itself. And then bike racks, we're showing a generous space because of the e-bikes and the wagons and how those things just keep getting bigger and bigger. So we have some along South Public with about twice the area I'm used to, but we just think it's really important and worth it, even though every square foot matters out here. And then last, I'll say we have string lighting over the community tables just to kind of advertise that activation. And then we'll have a few pedestrian scale lights, really more for safety lighting, just so that it's visible at night as people drive by. You can kind of see in. And what else am I saying? The trash cans. So that's all we have here. And then the next image here is just cut a section and just kind of quickly sketched out just the dimensions of that 60-foot wide width. Again, we're really trying to make sure it's not too cramped, but also not too barren. So the boulders creating that kind of seating terrace. We talked about the opportunity that there might be some food trucks that park along Kimbark Street. And so there could be just a variety of seating. You could imagine people sitting on those boulders and facing Kimbark and just eating their sandwich. And variety of seating and shade shelter. We're working through a couple of ideas for that, and some quick sketches on that seating deck. So we're really starting to drill into those details, working with manufacturers to get pricing to make sure we're within the budget. So we're going through all the nuts and bolts of the site, but I think that's generally what I wanted to hit on tonight with everyone here. The next step.
Okay.
So again, our project schedule, like I said, we'll be back early second quarter of next year. And, our goal is to hopefully have this finished by the end of 2026. And with that, are there any questions?
Thank you so much. We'll turn it over to council for questions, comments, feedback. Councilor Friedland.
Love it. It's great to see it coming together. Appreciate all the opportunity for the public to give you feedback. I'll just say the thing that I like the most, I don't have any questions, just giving you great kind of feedback here. I really like the shade, how much shade you have. Shade shelters, but all the trees, right? We've got a lot of old homes in that area. We've got a manufactured home community across the street, right? It's great that you've built something that can meet the needs of like a cool place to go, great place for kids, but also if we need it in a heat event,
Yes.
it can function as that too. So just thanks for taking that feedback and thanks for getting it incorporated so well, so seamlessly. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, we had some back and forth, and I always joke, but I'm half serious. The best time to plant a tree is 15 years ago. The next best time is tomorrow, So we know that the trees will take some time, so we really wanted to inject shade right away. So
Thank you.
prioritize those shelters.
Thank you. Other comments, feedback, thoughts? Councilor Barnes.
Just like to say thank you. This is wonderful I really appreciate you getting all the feedback from the community because that's what we pride ourselves on is being able to get people out there and participate. So thank you for doing that. I had one question on the slide deck. There's a perspective.
Oh, sure.
It's titled perspective. Is that so?
Sorry. Yeah. So that was just a view looking towards the seating deck.
So what's in the background? Is that?
There could be an interpretive sign next to. South Public would be kind of in the background.
In the
So
background.
there's a street light.
Okay.
There's like a little interpretive sign we talked about using. The planting along South Public is that pollinator garden, so we could have some interpretation, some learning opportunities there. And just the sidewalk. I'm trying to think of what else to say about that. It's just one of those quick sketches I do to try to help everyone.
Yeah, I was just wondering which way what was in the background,
sure.
so that South Public in the back. So yeah.
We're kind of facing here, looking that way.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Of course.
Appreciate it. I thought we were going to get another title for changing your title again, but.
Oh, no.
And then we got to come up with a name for it too at some point. So that'll be the next steps.
Thank you. Other questions, comments from councilors? All right. Well, I'm not seeing any, so just want to once again say thank you so much for all the work you all put into this, and I'm excited to see the outcome and for next steps as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you,
thanks,
Dennis.
everyone.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Great. Well, that concludes presentations for tonight, which brings us to regular business. Beginning with item H, this is public hearing for first reading ordinance number 23, series 2025, amending sections 26-16-4 of the Code of Ordinances regarding sketch plan and preliminary plan review procedures, as noticed in the Boulder Daily Camera. We have our Planning and Building Director, Director Williams here.
Good evening. Thank you. Tonight's code amendment, ordinance 23, series 2025, is an amendment to section 2616-4B of the Lafayette Code of Ordinances, and it's regarding sketch and preliminary plans because that's how the whole title reads, but really the focus of these amendments are on the sketch plan process. So because this is a public hearing, the order of the agenda will be staff presentation, opportunity for council questions, and then public testimony before discussion, and then a request for a motion. So kind of just distilling down the changes as much as possible. The requests are to allow Planning Commission and City Council to review sketch plan applications. That's not a default in this structure right now. The only way these applications get to council is through a call-up or an appeal. So we're just going to switch that out and have it automatically go to City Council so you can provide feedback through the process. And then it also allows both Planning Commission and City Council to provide feedback versus an actual decision. So right now, because those two processes are lumped together, the request that goes to planning commission and city council, or if it gets to city council, is for them to make a approval with conditions, denial, or send it back to the applicant for further study. And one of the changes here will eliminate all those 4 options and just request you to review and provide feedback more informally. So we're also updating certain steps of that review process. One of the changes is to eliminate the intent to develop process from the sketch plan. And we're also taking away the second pre-application. That's something that is optional. It's not something that staff typically triggers, and it really is intended to go through the application page by page, which is not something we do with any formal submittal. We do that independently, and then we get back to the applicant with anything that's omitted. Again, the purpose here is to include council earlier in the process and then better align the sketch plan with the purpose that's actually stated for it to be, which is to allow for the concept review appropriateness, kind of identify major problems, and then just a general feasibility assessment. It also reinforces very explicit language within our code that sketch plan reviews aren't binding. So that's part of the reason why we're trying to align those decision points with a review versus trying to eliminate decision point and align your guys' options with just review and comment. So this is a graphic you guys have seen quite a bit, specifically related to the annexation process, but it also, that like third band from the bottom, clarifies what the PUD plat process is. So typically it's sketch plan, planning commission hearing, and then really you have to force that call up or appeal in order for it to get to city council. So we're eliminating that. Part of that benefit in eliminating that process is that really it's a reactive process. You have to go to planning commission. It has to then wait for that decision, and then the applicant, if they want to appeal it, has 14 days to do so. If they're hoping for a city council call-up, you'd have to do that at your next meeting, and then we'd have to renotice it. So really, we're probably saving a minimum of 4 weeks by eliminating this step in the process. And then I think it also, like in recent history, it also feels a little bit more neutral for it to get to you guys without it being an appeal or a call-up, because I think both of those kind of give the optics that you're going to reach a different decision than planning commission, and that's maybe not what's actually happening. But we've also heard from applicants, especially when you look at this bigger process in the annexation, that they don't want to wait till the end to hear from city council. So this is will also provide them with a more direct path to get in front of you. And then kind of lastly, here's the 2 sections of the code. May not be lastly, I think I'm getting close to the end of my slides, but part of it is the fact that it is all lumped together. So we have 2 distinct definitions for the purpose of a sketch plan versus a preliminary plan. The thing I just want to highlight again, we've already kind of gone over what a sketch plan is, but when we get to a sketch plan application, we're not getting traffic studies, we're not getting drainage analysis, we're not getting engineering. So it is intended to be conceptual. We're not going to get all that information, whereas preliminary plans have all of that. So the 2 processes are kind of muddled together, even though they're fairly distinct. And then when we get into the review procedures, they're identical. So even though we have 2 different definitions, the processes are the same. They require a pre-application conference, the intent to develop, which I mentioned earlier. That happens prior to an application, so there's a formal neighborhood meeting. So there's really 3 different points of engagement through a sketch plan process. And as the next slide kind of shows, we're still, although we're taking that intent to development piece away, we're supplementing it with the city council meeting. So there's still 3 points where the public can come in and comment on a sketch plan application and then actually comment to the deciding body. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, but I'm here to answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you. So we'll take council questions first before we open up the public hearing. Questions from council. Mayor Portson.
So when does this process, if we do pass it, first reading tonight, second reading next city council meeting, so it would take effect with anything with sketch plan after that, say after December?
Yeah, effectively after that second reading, there's a 10-day, not appeal period, but a 10-day kind of until it becomes active. So it'd be active by the end of November.
Then everything that's in the pipeline that's already passed through or in process of sketch plan would just go through the former process, correct?
Correct. So, or if somebody actually wanted, like, we just had a sketch plan come last month to planning commission, if they wanted to hear from council, they could still kind of get into this process and hear from what I would assume be the new council in January. So.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Freeland.
Why shouldn't we do this? What are the downsides to making this change?
I don't see any downsides. I mean, that's a great question. We're looking at, and I think really, the prior application that came this year wasn't even an annexation, but it's awkward. It's got a little sideways, and then I think it didn't feel good for either planning commission or city council to be on either side of having that kind of discussion and feeling like, the expectation's a different answer when that's not quite the case. The other thing I didn't clarify is it did go to planning commission last month, and they recommended 5-1. We're in favor of approving this, so that's the other thing I meant to mention, so.
I'm also curious, help me understand. So in the sketch plan updates, we're losing the intent to develop step.
Yep.
I'm not sure I'm super familiar with what that is. Can you help me understand it?
So the intent to develop happens first. So before we actually get an application, they send us what's called an illustrative plan. So it's just like a sketchier site plan. And then they give us a narrative, and we post that on our website. Not in that kind of way, sketchy, sorry. More conceptual site plan. And then they give us a narrative, and we post that on our website, and then the public gets 10 days. So they actually send out mailers to residents within 750 feet, and then they post the property. So technically, we have one property right now that's got 2 different signs for 2 different hearings, because there's kind of midway in between 2 different processes. So, but really, like, that's just kind of going away. They still have a neighborhood meeting, which would do the same notification, and people would come and actually get to ask and answer questions. So we felt that was the more robust of the 2 processes in order to keep it 3. And when we did vet this through the working group, the folks that are kind of commenting on the developer side of things were a little hesitant to add like a 4th step, in our process and make it even longer. So we tried to keep it 3. So.
Yeah. So I think 2 questions on hearing that. The information that you get, that you put on like the website,
Yep.
you get all of that in the pre-app conference either way? Or do you?
For staff, I mean, the whole
Yeah.
thing is a little unusual in the sense that it happens before staff gets an application. So
Right.
we're not doing any review yet. We've had a pre-app meeting. We
Right.
know, and the pre-app meeting is really to kind of tell them what the process is, what the requirements are,
Right.
kind of walk them through all of the steps, and then also what, they need to do to address our criteria. So, but when they get to, all we're doing at a intent to develop is kind of putting it out there to the broader public that, this is what's coming and, or this is what's being requested, and we can get comments. But it doesn't necessarily change that. I mean, I think generally with public engagement this early on in the process, it's intended to like, all right, you've submitted something, you got some feedback, you revised it. We don't always get those revisions. And so I think what I've seen in my career is those revisions come after Planning Commission and City Council provides the feedback. And so you need to echo, if you agree with public sentiment, those kind of comments and concerns. And then by the time we get to a preliminary plan application, the developer should have the expectation of what Planning Commission and City Council have both said.
Thank you. Is it possible that the intent to develop step, removing it, to me, it sounds like it's kind of like the notice and then you have the meeting. But I guess I'm probably not fully understanding it. Like, I guess my concern is, will people know to come to the meeting, know that engagement without that initial step that sort of says, hey, we're doing this. And then you're like, oh, interesting. And then, hey, there's a neighborhood meeting. Okay, I'll go to that because I'm interested. Will we be missing that sort of like initial kind of step that allows people to start paying attention so they know to watch out for
It
neighborhood
gives it a
meeting?
longer ramp, like if you want to think about it in that way, like
Yeah.
because it's like we get something submitted to us 20 days ahead of it going online.
Yeah.
That just gives us the ability to really coordinate, like posting it and making sure they get their mailers and the property posted. So really, it's just a 10-day notification, and that's some of the language that's getting clarified through this update as well.
Okay.
But if you think about it that way, I mean, it gives the public somewhat less time, but I don't know that we're not getting that same benefit at the end with the city council meeting because it's around a 2-week kind of time frame that they would. So overall, the whole process, like before you get to sketch plan approval or like a sketch plan comment, that's what we're trying to say now, is roughly the same time and the same amount of opportunity. So it's just when it doesn't change, I don't think, substantively.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions, comments, feedback, thoughts? Okay, Counselor Sampson.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, as somebody who has sat in many of these seats in planning commission, city council, as a staff who's gone to pre-app in another city, and watched neighborhood meetings, I actually think this process is a win for everyone. I think this is a great way to streamline, but also I love the term make a robust neighborhood meeting. So there's a lot of feedback that's coming in right up front. So the developer knows this is what the community wants. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions from council. But this is a public hearing. So I will open public input regarding this topic. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak? Mr. Spalding.
I will fill out a form afterwards. I wasn't expecting to speak.
No worries.
Already said where I'm from. Support this 100%. Speaking as a citizen, involved pretty much in the process. Going to the planning commission meetings, neighborhood meetings, city council meetings. We got a former planning commissioner here. I think this will make it simpler for everybody. As Stephen said, the developers always complain, how long it's going to take. Citizens, we want to get in there earlier. So what Councilman Sampson said, agree 100%. I think it's a win for everybody. And you see how many people in the public are interested here to comment on this today. But I guarantee there's a certain group that aren't here right now that, I think will really appreciate this. The neighborhood meeting is very important. We've had some big projects come up lately. Steve's been in there and other staff from the developer and have a lot of great input. The one item that might be more helpful in getting the word out to the public, the 750 feet, notice goes out to everybody. Developers lately been doing a better job notifying people, putting signs up and all. But the Lafayette Listens, which is a great website and very useful, and I don't want to complain, but maybe in the Lafayette Listens website, we have all the development coming up. I'm signed up for every project on there. And a couple of us have been signed up. And lately, we have not received notice on some of the things that have happened. I don't know why. Computers work funny, this and that, but I don't want to complain, but not just me, but other people. However, we are well aware of it because we're engrossed in the whole public process. So that Lafayette Listens is number one for most people because you have the illustrative plan, you have the letter that comes from the developer, and the one I will say right now that's in the forefront of us, within a couple of days is the Kensington, the one piece for the little annexation up there. And I did send my comments in. I don't know if you got them. I didn't get a receipt that my email was received, and I hope you got them. And the reason I found out about that is because a dear friend Karen has it on her pod, whatever you call that thing, and I missed it. And I think I'm a dedicated individual. So I sent some comments in. So I'm just saying it's great. We'll keep it up. And let's see what's going on with that Lafayette Listens when it's put up there, that those who have registered for it, and for for the Kensington, there's only 18 of us on that signed up for it. I didn't get a notice, Karen didn't get a notice, I want to, but that's okay, because we're commenting on it. So, make a long story short, I think it's a win-win. A lot of the people that get notified are because we say, hey, here's a project coming up. And, you try to tell them about Lafayette Listens, and Lord knows if they've even tried it. So, good website. Let's see what's going on with that little bug in there. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are there any other members of the public that wish to speak? We have Mr. Rob Glenn here. Thank you.
Rob Glenn, do I say the address?
Sure.
401 West Cannon Street, Lafayette, Colorado. I actually had the opportunity of attending that planning commission meeting where they went over the sketch plan, and it was great to see that the actual developers were retaining that feedback from them going over that, where before they invested a bunch of money, and you could see it was clicking and working and helping out in that process. The thing, they actually asked me if I wanted to speak at that one, and the thing I'd asked was, did I feel, and I would throw it back at council, whether y'all thought it was beneficial for that next step and time worthy for the sketch plan phase before that intent to development phase. So, and I'll second that. I mean, there could be definitely some opportunities to find out things a little differently. It seems like a lot of the sources, Karen, lately on that, on finding out timing of when certain things are. And I don't know where it is they are showing up there. I see them on Facebook, communications. I've been trying to make sure I follow and subscribe to everything I possibly can and check and update the calendar because I've been attending a lot of things, but there's still opportunity for growth and getting it out to that public to where they can get their input in on these projects. But overall in favor of the changes to the sketch plan timing.
Of course, thank you. All right, any other members in person that wish to speak on this topic? Okay, I'm also not seeing any callers online, so with that we will close public testimony and bring it back to council. To see if there are any additional comments or items of discussion that anyone would like to bring up. That would be the time.
Mr. Mayor, so I think having sat on planning commission in the past, I think this is a great opportunity. It is a win-win because I know there are many times that planning commission's curious as to what council's going to think as ultimately as a decision maker. So the fact that planning commission is not the final say on a sketch plan and then going to council to the final end, but actually being able to provide that input, I think is a very nice thing to have. It will definitely will help planning commission, I believe, in understanding kind of just having this project in front of them, but actually gathering that feedback. And I think it's also very good for the developer to hear from council because ultimately they will end up before council. And so while this earlier phase can certainly be addressed and understanding the planning process within our community, this is just a win-win. So I'm in full support and thank Director Williams for go ahead and putting something like this forward. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, if there aren't any other comments or items of discussion, we can move forward with a motion.
I move to approve on first reading ordinance number 23, series 2025, amending chapter 26, development and zoning of the Code of Ordinances regarding sketch plan and preliminary plan review procedures.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? Let's do a roll call vote, please. Oh, I apologize. Before we do that,
No further discussion, and just like to say thank you for making this happen. I agree with every comment made.
Awesome. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Counselor Barnes?
Yes.
Counselor Friedland?
Yes.
Counselor Gallegos?
Yes.
Mayor Monget?
Yes.
Counselor Sampson?
Yes.
Counselor Tapia Vega?
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem Wong.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Awesome. Great. Well, that brings us to item I for tonight. This is first reading ordinance number 24, series 2025, granting electric easements and a utility easement to Public Service Company of Colorado for electric utility and service lines and electric vehicle charging stations on certain city-owned properties. We have our sustainability director here, get us started. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Tonight, I'm presenting on electric easements and a utility easement to Public Service Company of Colorado to serve electric vehicle charging stations. You may recall about a month ago, a similar request came in front of Council. These are secondary easements as a requirement of participating in Excel's EVSI electric vehicle supply infrastructure program that the city opted to participate in due to its cost effectiveness. While the timing of these easements are driven by Excel's program requirements, staff worked closely with Excel to ensure that all necessary and remaining documentation is in place for Council's consideration tonight. As a reminder, all these projects align with the Climate Action Plan, specifically with aligning and transitioning our city fleet to electric vehicles, as well as supporting the adoption of electric vehicles in our community. So we are requesting 5 electric easements and a utility easements on portions of 5 properties. These easements will provide access for installing, maintaining electrical utility lines required from the transformer to the electric vehicles charging stations at each facility. These secondary easements are also 10-year easements. After 10 years, Excel will approach the city to terminate those easements, which at that point, the responsibility of maintaining those electric service lines will be the city's. Next, I'm going to walk through each of the facilities. So the first is Fire Station number 1. In yellow is the existing utility easement that Council approved last month. And in the green outlined box is the proposed secondary electric easement. And then the circles are the different chargers that we will be installing. At Fire Station number 1, it's a DC fast charger with 2 ports. Here is the Lafayette Library, similar. The yellow is the existing utility easement, the green is the proposed electric easements, and then the circles are the fast chargers. Similarly, the service center, you can see the green outline box for the proposed electric easement. Indian Peaks Golf Course, you'll see that green box again. And then the golf maintenance shop, so there is a proposed utility easement here. And then the green outline box is the proposed electric secondary easement. And that location will be receiving 2 level 2 chargers. So total of 4 ports. So what's entailed in the process, Excel is going to bore at each of these facilities to ensure electrical wiring capabilities for all of the EV charger sites. The bore depth will be 3 feet or more depending on what existing utility lines there may be. And that bore line will also be sleeved. Excel will need to dig bore pits, but they have assured the city that all of the area will be returned to its original condition, including the landscaping. So next steps, if this ordinance is approved on first reading, it will be presented for second reading on November 18th, and I will oversee the project to ensure compliance with grant requirements and ongoing operational expectations. And installations will occur between this month as well as the end of late 2026. The first location will be the golf maintenance shop. I will open it up to questions.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Questions from council? Or any comments, feedback, thoughts? Go ahead.
I have questions. Sort of questions. One, so will all of the level 3s, the level 2s will be for fleet use, right? Completely. Will any of the level 3s be for public use as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
All of them except for the service center will be for public use if they're a fast charger.
Okay, awesome. So like even the fire station too, which, okay, awesome. I'm curious too, also the timing of is it an Excel rebate or it's a grant that we got?
So we're participating in the electrical vehicle supply infrastructure program.
Okay.
We're actually participating in a program that Excel no longer offers.
Yeah.
So we were able to get into that program at the tail end of 2024, but it's an instant rebate through Excel.
And there's a timeline on that, right? That we have to submit rebates for? First of all, is that correct? And then will this timing of the work that they have to do meet up with the required timeline of the rebate?
So we're not submitting for rebates because we're participating in the EVSI program and the old retired program as well. So the rebates were created in lieu of that program termination.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying that. The last one is like tangentially connected, but I saw that, I know that Louisville has electric trash trucks. And sorry, this is not related to this. And Superior now also has electric trash trucks. When are we getting electric trash trucks?
That, you know.
You can take that one back too. It's just
I will take that one back, but it's definitely being discussed.
Awesome.
But there is a cost.
Sure. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, considerations? Councilor Gallegos.
I just had a question about the installation range of dates. So I see November 25, which is now, through late 26. So are certain locations being prioritized, or could you explain the range?
Yeah, so the service center will definitely be prioritized. The golf maintenance shop is an easy upgrade, so that's also being prioritized, and it really just depends on Xcel Energy's third party who will be doing all of the installations. But we are trying to get a schedule in place after these easements are approved.
Thank you.
All right. Councilor Tavi Vega.
One question. First off, thank you again. This is really cool. As a brand new EV owner, I'm very excited. I'm unbelievably excited for this, but I'm going to ask you the same question I asked you last time we spoke about this. It's about the location. I keep getting questions about the location, so I'd love you to kind of give us a deep dive as to why these locations were chosen and why we have them.
Yeah, so we were on a quick timeline to approve these locations, but they were strategically chosen given we looked at the entire city and tried to identify the gaps within the city as well as Boulder County's network. And we identified those locations. One, we own the facility so we can control what types of EV infrastructure is in place. We also looked at community amenities and how long individuals would stay at that location. For example, the fire station is right next to the play fields. And if you've ever been over there on a Saturday, it gets really busy, and both the police station and the fire station's parking lots get full. So we saw that as a strategic approach. So that's just one example of how we determined these locations. All strategically done.
Amazing. Thank you. And again, thank you. This is really, really amazing.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's it for council. We'll take a motion, please.
I move to approve on first reading ordinance number 24, series 2025, granting electric easements and a utility easement to Public Service Company of Colorado for electric utility and service lines and electric vehicle charging stations on certain city-owned properties.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'll do a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Friedland?
Yes.
Counselor Gallegos?
Yes.
Mayor Monget?
Yes.
Counselor Sampson?
Yes.
Counselor Tapia Vega?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wong?
Yes.
And Counselor Barnes.
Hardy, yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. All right. That brings us to item J for tonight. This is a first reading for ordinance 25, series 2025, enacting chapter 4 pertaining to the setting of fees and amending and repealing provisions in the Code of Ordinances regarding fees set by resolution. We have our Deputy City Manager here.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm here this evening to talk to you about a revised fee structure and first reading for ordinance number 25, series 2025. This is a project that we've been working on for many months, and I just want to recognize our two city attorneys. The city attorney's office has worked. You might have noted that this is a very extensive ordinance that you're looking at this evening, and so they've been working very hard. Aaron Poe especially and Mary Lynn has been helping to get this significant ordinance in place. So it's been a lot of work across the organization, and we're really excited to discuss it with you this evening. We're going to go through the background and the overview of changes, and then we'll talk about the updated fee structure and process and have some time for questions and motion language. So by way of background, the city has, as you know, established certain charges and fees for municipal programs, goods, and services. And the purposes of these fees are to defray our costs of providing the programs and goods and services. By law, any of these fees should be reasonably related to the costs of the services and programs and goods. And the costs of these fees and charges are currently established and reflected in many different manners and locations. And so we have fees that are in our code, we have fees that are established through resolutions, we have fees that are administratively established. And so we're going to talk about kind of a new approach to our fee structure this evening. So the purpose of these changes is that our kind of our current fee structure, the fee authority and the fee costs are located in various parts of the code, really throughout the code, wherever the fee authority is kind of situated. We have numerous fee schedules and procedures for the updates, and the program and department fees are located across, some of them across several schedules. We have fee update and approvals that occur through resolution. And so what this means is that we do an individual resolution to update sort of individual sets of fees. And it's kind of, resolutions are much harder to track than something that's, you know, in the code. And so it makes it difficult to kind of go back and find exactly when it was last updated, what's included in it. You have to do it kind of one-off as the sets of fees. And we have a lot of fees that the city has in place. So we were really looking to do something that had all of the fees in one place in the code, that was updating all the council set fees through one ordinance. So in terms of process, there was kind of one ordinance instead of a whole bunch of resolutions to make those updates. A single fee set schedule for both the council fees in the code and single fee schedule for those administrative fees as well. And then an annual procedure for updates that was aligned with the budget. So we'll talk about the overview of the changes. So in terms of how we approach this, we took a comprehensive review of all the fees charged by the city. So through this project, we haven't been looking at the cost of the fees. So this isn't increasing the fees or reducing the fees or looking at the appropriateness of the fees. This is really looking at the structure. So what we've looked at is across all departments, we involved all the fees that the city has in place, and they had been situated in 3 different schedules and organized according to authorizing language, code, statute, administrative language, etc. Department, program, and division. And again, what we found is that we would have in schedules A, B, and C, we might have fees that were across kind of all the authorizing language, and we also might have fees that were the same program could have fees on any of those schedules. And so we wanted to really make sure that there was more consistency in how they were organized, and make it more transparent so people could find where those sets of fees were authorized and approved. We also wanted to remove duplicative fees. Some fees were on multiple schedules. And also we found that there are some fees that have been on the books for a long, long time, and we have not collected on those fees in years. So we looked at removing any fees that aren't relevant or are not in use. So an overview of the changes, we streamlined all fees to 2 schedules. And through that process, we identified a need to enact a new chapter of code. And this would be where we would set and update fees in the same manner and provide one single location in the new area, which is Chapter 4 fees. So when you look at this over 40 page ordinance, the bulk of that you'll see is a lot of the same language that is already in the code, but it's repealing that language throughout the code and referring to it in this one single section, Chapter 4. So the new fee structure includes basically 2 sections. One is a new chapter of municipal code, and in that chapter, these are the city council approved fees that would be development fees, licenses and commercial services, utility and resident fees, municipal court fees, and miscellaneous fees. These are all included in the ordinance that you have before you this evening. And the fees that are not included in that ordinance but are included will be included on the administrative fee schedule. Those are community services fees schedules. And you know, we've been talking about the new rec center fees that we're working on right now. That will include things like the Great Outdoors Water Park, the parks fees, senior program fees, state authorized fees, things like liquor licensing, which are fees that are set by the state. And so this gives us the ability to basically adopt the state set fees administratively. And then administrative fees, things like CORA and other requests for documents or paperwork that we might provide upon request to residents or anybody else who's asking for copies of things. And then building rentals and event permits. So things like rentals of the new Starkey building when we get that structure in place, or the Arapahoe Center Theater. So we also have readjusted the process for updating the fee. We will now have both Chapter 4 fees, so the fees that will be updated through ordinance annually, and administrative fees will occur in conjunction with the budget, and fee cost changes will be identified by departments as a part of their budget planning and incorporated into the budget. So that will become a part of any revenue changes associated with those fees and adopted in conjunction with the budget. And so City Council will approve those Chapter 4 fee updates. You might recall in the past you've had a set of resolutions. You just did it at the past meeting with the budget where you've had several resolutions, one for each kind of set of fees that requires those updates. Now you'll have one ordinance with all of the fee updates for Chapter 4 that would come to you for part of the budget adoption. And then the city manager will incorporate the administrative fee cost changes into the budget for you as well. So in terms of next steps, second reading, if this is approved, will be on November 18th. The fee changes will all be approved through the 2026 budget and go into effect on January 1st. And if approved, we will provide a link to all the city's fees on the city's webpage. And that will allow people to link directly to the section of code and then also to be able to see all the administrative fees in one place as well. We are happy to answer questions, and we also have motion language.
All right, so thank you so much for that presentation. We'll turn it over to council for questions, comments, things to consider. Anyone?
Only a minor comment that I appreciate the continued work to make things, easier to understand, more approachable, and make a ton of sense. So I really appreciate this. I think it makes a lot of sense, and it seems like it was a lot of work. So thank you for doing that. And thanks for just identifying the opportunity, I think, too, which can be really challenging. So just really appreciate everyone's hard work on this. It's great.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll do a motion, please.
I move to approve on first reading ordinance number 25, Series 2025, enacting Chapter 4 pertaining to the setting of fees and amending and repealing provisions in the Code of Ordinances regarding fees set by resolution.
Second. Oh,
You got it.
I get it.
Thank you.
Motion and a second. Let's do any other comments or discussion?
Yes, Mayor, I'd just like to say thanks again to both of our attorneys and the city staff for clarifying some of what needed to be clarified in our processes, and I really appreciate this. I think the public will appreciate it, developers just in general having an idea that we have efficient code. I'm big on being able to understand things clearly and quickly, so thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Gallegos?
Yes.
Mayor Monget?
Yes.
Counselor Sampson?
Yes.
Counselor Tapia Vega?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wong?
Yes.
Counselor Barnes?
Yes.
And Counselor Friedland?
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Okay, all right, well, thank you. That brings us to our next item for tonight, item K. Motion to approve an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Louisville for sharing of costs of 30% designed for improvements to State Highway 42 from Pascal Drive to Baseline Road. We have our great principal transportation engineer here, Michelle Melanakis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I'm also here tonight with Director of Public Works, Jeff Arthur. And we'll get started. Should be a relatively quick agenda item. I've got a bit of the planning history on this project, how it's funded, what the concept plan covers, and then motion. So a little bit of planning history. In early 2023, City Council adopted the Future 42 plan, which was a concept plan for Highway 42, followed by our multimodal transportation plan at the end of November of 23, and then following that, the city's Vision Zero action plan. The Future 42 plan identified several projects, but the top two projects were underpass and rebuild of the baseline and CO42 intersection, followed by stormwater pond just south of the intersection. That project was also incorporated into our top 10 priority projects in the multimodal transportation plan that were not in the near-term city-funded plan, but were projects that we would try to progress if additional funding became available. This section of baseline is also in the top tier of projects in the high injury in the Vision Zero action plan. So CDOT has a funding program called the Strategic Transportation Improvement Program. And previously it used to be set up where buckets of funding were allocated to specific corridors. And each agency, all of the agencies that are surrounded the corridor were able to decide how that funding was allocated. In December of last year, the state had $2.7 million that was remaining in their approved strategic funding for fiscal years 23 to 26, specifically for CO42. And Louisville had a funding gap for their South Street underpass, and they were looking for a decision on how to use the remainder of those funds. So Boulder County, CDOT, Louisville, and Lafayette all met to discuss this, and we decided to split it. A little less than $2 million would go to Louisville for the South Street underpass, and then the remaining funds would go to fund concept design from Pascal to Baseline that bordered all four of those agencies. In order to complete this, we will need to fund the remaining $30,000, which is roughly 3% of the total project cost. So the map on the screen shows the limits of the project. Louisville has properties on the far west. Boulder County has some properties far south. Boulder County has some properties just east of CO42, and we have properties west of 42, including the upcoming the in-progress Indian Peaks development project. And then there's a rendering of what the baseline intersection will look like. So there are several key transitions in the area, some utility transitions, and then protected bike lanes to underpass under the baseline intersection. Those are the key transportation things. Getting concept of this design will allow all the communities to all move towards the same goal, no matter who's developing, whether it's a developer, CDOT, or one of the agencies. That is it. Are there any questions from council?
Thank you so much. Yeah, let's go to council for any questions, comments, items to bring up for discussion. Councilor Friedland.
So, I think I'm getting a little confused about the underpass that you're mentioning. That's not at this intersection. It is. Where exactly is it at this intersection? Based on that, right, yeah, that drawing.
So that is not decided yet. The plan called out some sort of both east, west, and north-south connection, but there wasn't enough data to determine exactly where the underpass would go.
Okay, so on this draw, I'm not like looking for it and not finding it. It's not there.
It's not there.
Thank you. That was confusing for me. I appreciate that. And then if you could go back one more slide, and it just, I kind of took a deep dive this last week on the state transportation planning for CDOT, and just help me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. For CO7 corridor improvements, I know we're not talking about CO7, but for CO7 corridor improvements, the way I'm reading that is in the last two rounds, we had 11.5 million and then 2 million respectively. And then for the 27 round coming up, we have nothing, even though the total project cost is 100+ million. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. What did we do about the grade on that heading south from, is it going to be flattened out, or have we gotten to that point?
There is some very, very preliminary grading extents that were worked into the Future 42 concept plan, but it's extremely preliminary.
Oh, grade, changing the grade.
Change in grade.
Okay. And it doesn't look like, because Councilor Briggs and I went over there and faced down some pretty interested individuals, but it doesn't look like it pushed that far into the community that's to the east on the south side.
It did not push very far into the community.
And what am I looking at? Is that the colors going across? That's the first dark black one is the car, and then there's a yellow, and then there's a dark black, and then a gray.
Right, so the yellow would be kind of the tree lawn, and then the second black, there's a tiny little bike symbol.
Yep.
So that would be the protected bike lane, and then the other gray would be the sidewalk.
And those trees are conceptual, but they're planning on putting trees there to block the noise and stuff like that. And there's no, what's that lane called where the buses get to jump? There's no jump lane for the buses there, right?
Correct, but the median was designed so that right now there is no bus service that runs along 42. Right. So the median was designed to be reduced when bus service came in so that you could have that in there later. So the medians that's on the east side, north is to the right. Those medians are actually extend further into the pavement to allow, or are supposed to. So it would be like a right turn, and then the bus would use the right turn lane to get into they would go straight through the turn lane.
Okay. Thank you. This is amazing work. Thank you for everything you've done. It was a heavy lift, so I appreciate it. And thanks for figuring this one out. And all of the others too.
All right, thank you. Other counselors that want to chime in here? If not, we'll take a motion, please.
I move to approve an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Louisville for sharing of costs of 30% design for improvements to State Highway Colorado 42 from Pastel Drive to Baseline Road.
Second.
Go ahead. Motion second. And did Louisville already consider this?
Louisville is already adopted.
Great. All right, let's do a roll call, please. Oh, I apologize. Councilor Barnes, once again.
I don't know, I'm on a kick doing this tonight. So Louisville is calling their transportation plan the master plan. I'm going to ask them to take the word master out of that because I don't think it's offensive to me and maybe to others. So if you saw that in there, I'm going to see if they can get them to just drop the word master.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, let's do a roll call, please.
Mayor Monget?
Yes.
Counselor Sampson?
Yes.
Counselor Tapia Vega?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wong?
Yes.
Counselor Barnes?
Yes.
Counselor Friedland?
Yes.
Counselor Gallegos?
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Okay, on to our final item for regular business for tonight. This is item L, contract with Civitas South Boulder Road Area Plan. We have Phil Kleiser here with the planning department to get us started. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Phil Kleiser with the city's planning and building department. Thank you for your time tonight. So yes, the purpose of this item is to consider a professional services contract with Civitas to prepare the South Boulder Road Area Plan. The proposed agenda includes a staff presentation providing some background and overview of the contract, followed by council questions and proposed motion language. But first, a little bit of background. What exactly is an area plan? So an area plan, generally speaking, is a hyper-locally focused planning effort that implements citywide goals by heavily engaging residents, business owners, and others in a particular area of the city. The final document that's prepared as a result of this process, the area plan, is a policy document that generally bridges the gap between the high-level aspirational policies of the comprehensive plan and on-the-ground kind of programs, regulations, building code, zoning, things like that. And so it's kind of that in-between measure between the comp plan and what gets built. We look at things like public investments, streets, parks, and so on, housing, business support, regulations, multimodal transportation facilities, and so on. City staff developed what we called an area planning framework. We included that in your packet this evening. And that was basically included as a discussion guide for council and others when thinking about which areas of the city the city should invest this time and energy in. The comprehensive plan identifies a handful of areas throughout the city that might benefit from these processes. So what a staff did, we took those areas, we created some just preliminary potential boundaries for those different plans, and then we rated them based on some broad criteria, non-scientific broad criteria that can really change by who's looking at it. It's a snapshot in time, so this was done sometime earlier in the year, and so it can change as conditions changed. Also included in that framework are cut sheets of each of the areas. One of them shown here for the South Boulder Road area. That includes some basic things like zoning and land use and some kind of map notes that summarize at least our thinking about the area. Through these conversations, the South Boulder Road area really rose to the top of the list for a number of reasons. One of those, importantly, is the funding. So it's fully funded by the Lafayette Urban Renewal Authority that we'll talk about in just a moment. It's also would align perfectly with a county-led transportation planning effort. So they're looking at a transportation vision along the South Boulder Road corridor. So it's a pretty unique opportunity to talk land uses and public amenities at the same time as you're talking transportation. So not only does that sync up those two topics, it also helps prevent us from having to go back and kind of redesign or replan things at a later date. We also may be planning for a potential City Hall expansion in the future. And the Tech Center area, the purple area there, down to the creek, has quite a few large undeveloped properties. And so it was pretty important from the city's perspective, at least city staff's perspective, to have a strong community vision in place. So when a development application does come in for those properties, we're able to guide that towards that community vision. One last thing on this is that there's quite a few neighborhoods around this area. And while it's not necessarily in this boundary, we had a conversation with the Planning Commission earlier this year about this project, and they were really interested, and we agreed that permeability of those areas into this space is really important. So if we're going to have more activity, more community amenities, and so on, we want people to get there, not necessarily by kind of driving around the city to kind of get into the area. So more connections. These are just some photos. We have some large underutilized parking lots that we could take a look at through this process, wide right-of-way to work with through that transportation planning process. We have a lot of pretty healthy local and national businesses in this area too. And so some of those conversations might not be about reinventing things, but rather how do we support those businesses and their vitality moving ahead. And so council, remember this last week, you entered into a cooperative agreement with the Urban Renewal Authority to use those TIF funds. As the Urban Renewal Authority is transitioning out of as the primary entity for Old Town Lafayette, it's allocated a portion of its remaining TIF funding for the South Boulder Road Revitalization Urban Renewal Area to fund this plan. And so when the DDA conversation was happening last year, it was Laura ultimately decided that this area in particular in South Boulder Road would benefit from a planning process like this, and then have a conversation at that time about potential special districts. So is there a taxing entity that could implement that plan efficiently, and then use the remaining funds to implement the plan. And so to give a few notes about the proposed contract, we went through a competitive procurement process. Is quite competitive, and 9 proposals, and staff is recommending that we contract with Civitas. They're a urban design and landscape architecture firm out of Denver. Their day-to-day focus really focuses on connecting people with nature in cities, promoting community input, and connecting unique places. They have 2 teams, technical and an engagement team. So the technical team, Stray, they'll be doing that financial district analysis So similar to the conversation we had in Old Town last year, they'll be helping us through that. So in reality, this is kind of an area plan visioning process, as well as the second project, which is that special district project. Civistruct will help with the market analysis, and OV Consulting will be multimodal transportation planning for us. And then the engagement team is a local in Boulder, CDR Associates. They're a mission-driven engagement firm, just a 3 minutes away. To quick notes on the schedule, so we're anticipating a 5-phase process. At each of those phases, it's not written down here, but at each phase we will have a check-in with Planning Commission and Council. That first phase would begin in mid-December. The contract is approved this evening. That would be the kickoff phase. We would do engagement planning, staff orientations, and so on, just kind of getting everyone on board. And then we'd have an introduction with Council of the project team and hear what you have to say as we kind of kick things off. The Where Are We Now phase would really look at existing conditions, so like ownership, infrastructure, uses, businesses, and so on. And then we would do some additional engagement, really listening for any kind of key issues and opportunities that people are seeing right now, especially in the businesses in the area. The Where Do We Want to Go is kind of the visioning piece. And so leading into the summer, we will be doing that. So that would be visioning, it would be developing through this engagement process, different scenarios and testing those scenarios. How do we get there is the implementation component. So the programs and policies to realize the vision and getting input on the draft plan. And lastly, the plan adoption. That would be a Planning Commission recommendation to Council with a Council decision. And so with that, that's kind of some background about how we got to the decision, the proposed contract, and we can entertain any questions from Council.
Thank you. All right, questions, comments from Council? It's on this, Councilor Barnes.
Okay, so I was wondering, I know in our comprehensive plan, we have the focus areas and the neighborhood destinations, little circle with a star. That's at South Boulder Road and Public Road. And this emphasis is on the areas that are south of that. I really appreciate that the foresight to select this area. Number one, because it's a non-starter to get people from a Coal Creek Trail through alternative forms of transportation on the public road. So I dearly appreciate the fact that this is going to be addressed, because that one stretch is a non-starter for our safety reasons alone. And being on the DDA, I know that this is definitely a focus after we look at the Old Town area. So I appreciate this jumpstart, and I will be able to take this back to the DDA and say, like, hey, by the way, this is going to be worked on at the same time we're working as Old Town, to keep in mind, plus with the pocket park in 701. I think it's fantastic to start having the emphasis on those other areas. And I think this has been overlooked for a long time. It's going to be nice to have those undeveloped areas be addressed, and the coordination for all of this is intense. So thank you for laying over all those bits and pieces and picking this one location.
Just one note, you mentioned you might have been kind of looking at the boundary. One of the first tasks is we're going to actually fine tune this boundary, and we'll bring that to Council before a lot of the analysis really starts. And so Council will have an opportunity to actually weigh in on the study area.
Great.
So that'll happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gallegos.
Yes, I just wanted to confirm Phase 5 would be January 27, not 25.
We're going, yeah,
The timeline was a little off.
we're going to full circle. Yeah, no.
That I got to see. This is going to be good.
That's correct.
We could do it in 2 months.
All right. Anyone else? Councilor Tapia Vega.
One quick question from me. The location for this, and I know this was something that was already in our memo, talking about engagement with our city boards, and I think we talked, of course, to Laura and Planning Commission. Is there plans for further engagement with other boards? I'm looking at the location of this. It's close to our manufactured mobile home communities. It's, of course, close to Coal Creek. Is there an idea to kind of circle back and hit other boards, a few off the top of my head, that would be good for this?
City boards?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would anticipate we would probably do that. We're gonna, early in the process, so mid-December through early January, we'll be developing the engagement plan, and we'll be sharing that with council at that first phase, at the end of that first phase. So we'll kind of develop those. And again, kind of the arrow is pointing out of the study area to those neighborhoods, including the manufactured housing neighborhoods, is something that was one of the reasons why we picked this from an equity standpoint.
Amazing. Thank you.
All right. Well, if there aren't any other comments or questions, we'll take a motion.
I move to approve the professional services contract with Civitas for the South Boulder Road area plan, conditioned upon approval of the final 2025 budget supplemental, and authorize the city manager to execute the contract in a form similar to that presented in attachment A.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? Let's do a roll call, please.
Counselor Sampson?
Yes.
Counselor Tapia Vega?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wong?
Yes.
Counselor Barnes?
Yes.
Counselor Friedland?
Yes.
Counselor Gallegos?
Yes.
And Mayor Monget?
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
All right. Thank you for that. Well, that wraps up regular business for tonight. And so we will conclude with some reports, beginning with staff reports for the city attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a comment. I just wanted to say thank you to our Deputy City Attorney, Aaron Poe, and all the staff who worked on that fee ordinance. It was a huge lift, and I just wanted to say my thanks publicly to all the staff who worked on that, and thank you, Council, for supporting and passing that ordinance this evening on first reading.
Of course, I agree. Thank you so much. On to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Just a few things to report on some facility closures. So as I reported last week, we have our third annual Employee Appreciation Event on Wednesday from 3 to 5. So most of our city facilities will be closed. We've already done a public announcement, but the Rec Center and the Indian Peaks Golf Course will be open. And then as a reminder, we will have several closures as well for Veterans Day and observance of Veterans Day on Tuesday, November 11th. Again, the Rec Center and Indian Peaks Golf Course will be open. And then wanted to highlight to the community and our employees and council that Sister Carmen, in partnership with the city, is doing a holiday food drive. And so we do have a space at the Collective Arts Center to be dropped off between December 5th now and December 5th. And so you can go on their website for some of their higher need items. But as a reminder, we also have year-round sites at the library. And we'll be conducting, kind of asking our employees to donate as well, just given all the changes that have been occurring as well. I know that there's a lot of food insecurity, so please encourage folks to donate at these facilities. And then looking forward to November, we will have a proclamation for consideration on the Small Business Saturday, presentation on our Parks, Recreation, and Golf fee philosophy update, and then first reading for our last budget supplemental in 2025 and board commission and committee appointments. And then we are anticipating on canceling the November 25th workshop. This is the Tuesday right before Thanksgiving, so we can always change that if council has any needs to hold it, but as of now, we are anticipating canceling that. So thank you. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to council reports. Councilor Sampson.
No reports for me tonight.
Thank you. Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to ask if it's, I guess this is a technical, just a logistics question on the agendas. Is there updated, is it possible to get a timestamp on the agendas when they're updated on Tuesdays? Just so we know, so people know which one it is, the time that it's been updated.
Yeah, we can add that and try it out.
Thank you. I did have, that was one. The other thing, we did have public comment from someone who had their tree hacked by Xcel Energy, and I just wanted to daylight that's not cool to cut down trees more than you need to. So just want to say that the comment got through, and I'm not happy about your tree being cut down so much that Xcel Energy needs to be careful with our trees as they do secure the power coming through our city. Do what's necessary. Our canopy is very important. Don't overdo it. And that was all I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Tapia Vega.
Sure, thank you. Two quick ones. Actually, the first one was stolen from me by our city manager, which was about the food drive. Thank you for getting ahead of me on that one. But if you can, please donate. Food banks are going through right now. We really need as much support as we can from our community. That's actually tomorrow's election day. Vote.
Oh yeah.
So that's it.
Awesome. Yes. Vote, vote, vote. Mayor Pro Tem Wong.
Couple of items. Number one, there is a letter that I sent out to everyone from the mayor of Superior in regards to a letter that he is asking the Northwest mayors and commissioners caucus to write in regards to the Jefferson County commissioners in regards to our MMA. So I think I will come to council at the next meeting to see if everybody's comfortable signing on to it. I think it's a great letter and a good move by the mayor of Superior. So outside of the 36 coalition, if we want to sign on to it, again, I think that would be a great opportunity for us to do that. And then that's it. Other than that, I do have, Mayor, you're going to be discussing the contingency funds, because I do have a question in regards to follow-up to the email I sent out regarding the 36 Solutions sponsorship. So I don't know if we want to take that up at another time, or do you want me to bring it up now?
I will be discussing 2 other items.
So do you want to just group those together?
Let's just do all 3 together when I go.
Okay, great. That's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, Councilor Freeland.
Nothing to report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Gallegos.
So I was also going to bring up one of the requests, but I'm happy to wait.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just do it then. Okay. Well, thank you all. As mentioned in previous meetings, we did have several folks kind of reaching out to us from the community that are interested in partnering with the city to sponsor some of the events and things they have going on. We did receive 3 requests. I believe at the moment it's about $6,100, $6,900, somewhere around $6,100 left in just pure contingency. We also have obviously travel funds and other things in that same bucket. But we did have 3 organizations reach out to us, so I guess we'll just do them one at a time. And once again, just as a reminder to council, at this sitting council, we do have, we only have 2 meetings left for the year. Or we might actually, if you count the second one in December, that one as well, but that would be a new council. And so this sitting council we still have those remaining funds, so it's, up to our discretion on how to use those. And then turning into January, they'll replenish. So $6,100 remaining dollars. We did have, like I said, a few organizations reach out for support. We'll start with the first one, Commuting Solutions. We've been discussing this a number of times. We have, former councilor Stephanie Walton did reach out to us requesting some support with that event. I'll actually turn the mic over to Mayor Pro Tem Wong to talk more about that. I know you all received an email regarding some potential support.
Right, and I provided that email in regards to different levels of sponsorship, and I know that the table for the legislative update is, I believe, around $1,000, but there were other different opportunities and different levels, and just wanted to gauge and see if anybody was interested at a specific level or what your thoughts were.
Thank you. Yes, hopefully council had a chance to review that email. Wanted to see where our thoughts were on that. Does anyone have any suggestions? Councilor Sampson.
Yes, I really liked, there was 2 different things on here. The Bike to Work Day station sponsor at 565. And then there was a sustainable transportation summit that came with 3 tickets to that summit. And I thought that was very valuable because either council or staff could attend that, or boards of commission members. So I liked both of those.
Great. And Councilor Sampson, do you remember how much the cost was for the summit or the meeting? I can look it up as well. I'm just,
$950.
okay. So a total of $1,400 then?
Okay, calculating, yeah, 950 and 565, I got 1,515.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Got it. That was my clumsy math, but, that's why I wasn't a math
Don't do math
major.
on the
Yeah,
dice.
exactly. I don't do that math on the dice, going board. So anybody else, any other thoughts? Yeah.
I agree with that. I think it's a clever way. I feel, we've done the legislative breakfast the last few years, and I think it's been like kind of sort of attended. And so maybe, if we did have folks interested on staff or on the council, we could still buy tickets to that breakfast and not necessarily buy a full table. And so I feel like maybe this is a good way to sort of, measure our level of support that maybe fits more with actually what we'll use.
Great, thank you, Councilor Barnes.
I'd like to say the Bike to Work station needs some love, so I would love to see that love.
All right, others? If not, I personally am supportive of supporting those two organizations as well. So unless there are any objections, that brings our total to $1,515 supporting the Bike to Work as well as the Sustainability Summit. And so if we could work with, I'm sure, can you work with staff to get that
Yep,
to the
get
right
taken care
folks?
of, yep.
Okay. All right, so that's 15 for that. Okay, great. And let me just see where we're at. Okay. So now, the next item for contingency consideration is the Sister City program. I know, when I first brought this forward, I did talk about not, the commitment is really between the nonprofit organizations of One Voice for Change and Amazon Youth and their relationship. But just in terms of like to initiate this program and to work with One Voice for Change to commit to a signing ceremony and to support that organization with bringing folks from Iquitos, Peru, their potentially their mayor and their staff maybe visiting us for that signing ceremony to officialize that partnership. I wanted to see if the city council would consider spending some of our contingency funds to establish that partnership and to officialize it. And then from there is not really much of a financial commitment to maintain the relationship. This is not like an ongoing annual thing, the expectation. It's just to kind of officialize that partnership. And so I did send council an email about that, giving you all a heads up to see if there was any amount of money we'd be willing to contribute to One Voice for Change, the Lafayette nonprofit, to establish the Sister City partnership. I was thinking in the range of $2,000 to $3,000, but I wanted to see where others felt like we could consider, or if there was more or less, or if you felt differently. So, Councilor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. I do think it's in alignment with the rules that Councilor Sampson mentioned that we had discussed about the distribution of the funds, and it does extend the mission of the city, and I think it is important for us to extend a hand to our sister city, so I would be willing to put some funds towards the signing ceremony. And then if I do understand correctly, that we would not be paying travel funds for a visit?
So the money would specifically go towards One Voice for Change, and One Voice for Change would use that money to, for whatever they needed to put together the signing ceremony, because their goal is to actually host their staff and their mayor here in Lafayette, show them around the city, get them in the talking to some of our schools, get them talking to our nonprofits, and even just show them Colorado. And so I'm sort of leaving it open to like their discretion on how they use those funds, but it's specifically going to be earmarked towards establishing the Sister City partnership and officializing it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Councilor Friedland.
Do they have a signing ceremony timeline that they're hoping to meet? Sounds like it's getting signed.
They voted on it tonight, or are voting on it tonight. I don't know if that's officially passed or not. I haven't gotten a text message. But once that's passed, we are officially sister cities.
Yep.
And then anything beyond that is like more so ceremonial. It's to establish communication. Like I said, like that way there's their mayor as well as probably the next mayor of Lafayette will have that connection. So that way we can continue to connect them with our, like I said, our schools, our nonprofits, and then we can learn about their schools and nonprofits through a official meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm supportive of the idea. I think I'm just hesitating slightly because there's no specifics really in the ask. Like, I would want them to come to us and say, hey, he's available or she's available. He, right? He's available. And here's the plan, and we need $3,500, and then we could help them in that way. But without the like specific ask or even, knowing schedules of mayors of, cities, I'm not even sure if they can get it done this year, I guess. So that's my only hesitation, but I like the idea and I'm supportive of the idea. I would just want maybe a more specific ask that we could then support.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. How do others feel? Because I've heard from two counselors that feel differently. So, Counselor Tapia Vega.
Just quick. So the money would go to One Voice for Change, and they would then use it for purposes of the signing ceremony, whatever that may be. That's their choice. But the money's just going from us to them, and then they're going to use it.
It would be specifically to officially establish a sister city partnership between Lafayette and Iquitos. I wouldn't go towards anything else. Yeah, and I wish I could be more specific. Fair enough. Yes.
I'm on board. I like it. I like the idea.
Okay. Thank you. Counselor Sampson.
Yeah, I think we do, we should give some funds for a really solid startup of the Sister City program. I mean, it came from us, and then we're working through a nonprofit. Having watched other cities establish Sister City programs, it's not something simple. It can't be just done, at the drop of a hat. So I do support the fact that we are the ones that brought this to them. One Voice for Change is doing a great job and wants to be involved, but I still really feel that we need to put some sort of financial support towards them.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else? So based off of our previous conversation, we have remaining $4,585. So I'm gonna say I'd like to recommend $2,000 of that towards One Voice for Change to establish the Sister City Partnership. Do I have consensus on that? Okay. All right, let's do that then. Okay, and so that brings our new total to $2,585. Okay. Which brings us to our final request for funds. You can tell like I'm on my way out because I'm like, let's get these things, let's support these organizations. The last one is for Centaurus High School's POMS team. I did forward that email as well, breaking down their upcoming competition in Florida, representing Centaurus High School. They did come with a specific ask. However, their ask did exceed, the amount of funds that we do have available for this. As mentioned, we have a remaining $2,585, and so this is an organization we have sponsored in the past. However, the City Council has had discussions, as referenced, by Councilor Sampson and others through email, is that this council has discussed previously is what is the impact, right? What is the impact of our funds, and how do we create equality and equity when determining how to spend these? And so this is going towards us, a group of Lafayette students, and I don't know if Councilor Gallegos wanted to add anything.
Since it is a smaller group than the group that presented last year, I would be in favor of reducing the amount. I do think their request is a little on the large side, but they would be appreciative of any funds we could assist with.
Yes, so we do have remaining 2,500, so last year we did, I believe we did award them with $2,000 in funding support. This year we could do 1,000, 1,500, we could do less, we could do more. I want to hear from other counselors. Counselor Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. If we can, I don't know if I'm bringing up something new, but there are people who don't have food. If we can spend money to give food to Sister Carmen, I would throw that idea out. So I don't know how much, but a percent, not all of this going to the Palms. I think it's a great idea that they're going to the competition, but there are people who need food, so I'd like to use at least some of it for support the food drive.
I did have a question on that now that, since you brought it up. So when we talk about our contingency funds, so the city does already support Sister Carmen, financially, annually. So what are the contingency funds versus the funds we already allocate towards them? How are they different? I mean, could we use these for additional support, or I just wanted to know if there's like a difference in what we've already committed.
My team's going to laugh at me because I say this all the time. So it's all general fund money. So it is unrestricted in that sense that you can repurpose funding for whatever you want. I mean, you do give $25,000 in general support to Sister Carmen, plus the emergency water shutoff, plus the MHHS grant that you give. So there are a variety of different sources, but you can also use your funding if you believe there are additional needs above and beyond kind of what a typical year might look like for this contingency.
Okay. The next question I had on this is, as a council, we had discussed a portion of the contingency fund, which was originally $50,000 to go towards travel costs for various conferences and things of that nature. I personally will not be using the rest of any of my travel funds. So I'm wondering if this is a council decision or if staff could weigh in or on if, even though those have been allocated towards travel funds, if that money could be used towards other things as well, aside from travel. But we've already dedicated it to travel. But if those funds aren't going to be used anyways, I'm wondering if there's flexibility on that.
Again, I would believe that's a council decision. I do know that there's been conversations to memorialize more of the contingency funding and the travel funding, but it hasn't been in your council handbook to specifically say that it's dedicated to that purpose. Again, just general fund money in your budget right now.
So we can be flexible. Okay. All right, well, I'm hearing from Council Barnes that, there are priorities elsewhere that could use our support. How do others feel?
What did we provide last year to the Palms group?
2,000. Councilor Sampson.
Yeah, I'm struggling with the fact that I do believe we are in an emergency situation, not only in food, but in healthcare. I mean, the amount of people that are going to literally drop their healthcare insurance or try to supplement with anything else in order to try to deal with the increases. So I do have a concern with that. I also have a concern with equity. I personally believe if we were cutting checks of $50 to every single program, every sports and activity program in Centaurus and Peak to Peak, I'd feel okay with that. But I feel like we are supporting one group over anybody else. And I do know that they all work hard. They all deserve opportunities to do things such as go to state competitions and that kind of thing. This is a national competition. It's completely voluntary. And again, I just sort of feel like there are students throughout Lafayette that are in need, and not just the, I believe, 6 on this prom team.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, I'm hearing from a couple counselors, but I want to make sure we have a consensus, so I'd like to hear from others, please.
Yeah, I'm comfortable since we did not do it, since we did something last year to skip this year, and look at other places where we could potentially use the money, at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. That's 3. How do others feel? Or would you like me to go?
I'm in agreement with the last few comments. I think if we want to do a program where we fund extracurricular activities for folks, we should publicize it, and we should make sure everybody has equal access and opportunity to that. And I do agree, there's folks in dire need right now. And so if that's what we wanted to do with our contingency funds, that to me really makes sense. When there's emergencies, that's what we should be using it for primarily. And I think we're in one now. I would also add though too, remember, right, this is all general fund money. Stole that one from my friend Katie. If we don't spend it, it goes into reserves for the future, right? And we're potentially going into tumultuous economic
Well,
times.
if we don't spend it, it'll be used towards something else this year, right? It won't roll, or, oh, I see, never mind.
Not necessarily. If there's a leftover balance that we didn't spend in our budget anywhere,
Right.
it rolls over into, reserves for future spending. And, that's important too, right? I mean, who knows what next year brings? And I know this is not very much money, right? In terms of like the massive massive challenges we may have. But, I think just keeping that in mind that, we don't have to spend it, even though I know it feels like we should.
Okay. All right, well, that does look like consensus, although I personally feel like I would like to support this program and share some of those funds for that. The majority of council is supportive of spending those funds towards other organizations. So that does leave us then with 2585 left in that completely discretionary funding. And so if you all at our next meeting feel like there is a specific organization or way to support other folks in the community with those remaining funds, please give council a heads up, and that way at the 18th meeting, we can vote on that and discuss that, because that'll be our last full meeting, because December 2nd is going to be kind of strange with the new council coming on. So, so please give council a heads up if you'd like to discuss other ways to spend that money. Cool. And this will be the first time in my 7 years of council that I've seen our contingency fund get that low. So he usually just sits there. So awesome. Okay, so that's all for that. And I'll just wrap up by saying, before we get to the exec session, is that I really appreciate a quick shout out to the city council candidates, all of them, all 10 of you, however many there are. One thing I really appreciate about all of you is that you are so positive towards one another, and I'll say that publicly. They're like hanging out and being nice to each other, which is awesome, because you don't really see that in city elections or elections in general. Candidates, there's usually some mudslinging and differences that are being said, and negativity overall, and people come up with reasons to bring other people down. But this particular group of candidates is all of them really genuinely kind and caring and supportive of each other. They talk about what makes them great as individuals, and they're not really in the business of tearing other people down. And so I think that's awesome, and I really admire that. And I hope whoever wins that election or the other election, that you all continue that kind of that theme, or that just that precedent of disagreeing, yet still being kind and being transparent if you feel like you disagree with someone, but at the same time maintaining strong relationships and just being kind overall. As former Mayor Pro Tem Gustavo Reyna used to tell me that all the time, it's all about leading with kindness. So really appreciate you all and all that you're doing, and good luck on the campaign. Tomorrow's going to be a crazy day, so I hope it all goes well for you. So with that, I will adjourn us into executive session, and we'll need to make a motion. We will need to do a roll call vote. So I will move to adjourn into executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statutes, Sections 24-6S4024F1 to discuss personnel matters pertaining to the city manager's performance evaluation. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion second. Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Tapia Vega?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wong?
Yes.
Counselor Barnes?
Yes.
Counselor Friedland?
Yes.
Counselor Gallegos?
Yes.
Mayor Monget?
Yes.
And Counselor Sampson?
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
All right, the city council will adjourn to executive session, so will not return to an open meeting. The time is now 8:09 PM. Thank you.